We put a lot of pressure on ourselves in the awakening journey to find our purpose and find our passion. And at the start of the journey, we find it very hard to actually find it or even know what our passion is. So we're going to talk about this today, 5 reasons why you may be struggling to find it and what we can do to help us find it. So watch this video. So, the first big reason that perhaps we're not able to find our passion or that we're struggling to notice it is that we're looking for it outside of ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong, there is benefit in doing that. Of course, we live in a physical world and it seems like things are outside of myself, like this cup is outside of myself. And that's a reasonable assumption to make. But passion itself is a state of being. People say follow your bliss, follow your excitement, follow your passion, right? And then that implies that it's relational, meaning following something outside of myself. But we don't really mean that, at least from my perspective. That isn't necessarily the case because it's not in the thing, it's in the state of being. We think our passion is outside of ourselves in the football, but it isn't. The passion is inside me. And so we do as much as we can to cultivate that feeling of passion or that feeling of excitement. We can do that with our mind, if our mind's well trained, and if our mind isn't well trained and it's quite a negative mind, that's okay too. We have a great system of yoga to be able to help us begin training our mind and begin feeling really good about ourselves. And if you're interested in that, then down below there's a free breathing practice. It will definitely make you feel good. It's almost an instant hit of like, wow, okay, why have I not been doing this all of my life? There's also some free yoga down below which will bring some great peace and great awareness in the system and be really relaxing. There's also some awakening coaching that you're more than welcome to apply for. The application is free to see if we're a good match, but the coaching itself isn't free. But you can apply for that down below. There's also a free community for people that are going through an awakening experience who don't really have many people to talk about this with. And so that's down below and you're more than welcome to join. And the group is heating up. People are sharing, it's getting really good in there because it's really authentic, and that's what I wanted, and hopefully we can push that as well and change the idea of it being an online community to a physical one sooner rather than later, but we'll see, in divine timing how that goes. Anyway, I'm jibber jabbering, let's get back to the video. So the first reason that we're struggling to find our passion is because we think it's outside of ourselves, but it isn't. It's something to be cultivated inside of ourselves. And so here's the thing. The second thing is that the second reason we may not be finding our passion or we might be struggling in our search or pursuit is that we are limiting it to one thing. It's got to look a certain way, and this is only limiting ourselves and our ability to find that state of being of passion inside of ourselves, because as soon as it doesn't look that way, then we define it as not our passion. But remember, passion's a state of being always available to us. That's why they call it unconditional love. Not that necessarily we have to make it unconditional, but we have the opportunity to unconditionally love every experience that we're in, isn't it? Even if it looks rubbish, we can still love it. We can still enjoy it. We can still incorporate it into our passion. And if we do that, then we gain a positive benefit from it. We've just got this life a bit wrong, I think. I don't know it, but in my experience, my feeling is we should be savouring contrast, enjoying it, because on the other side of contrast is another question, another asking, which will lead us to deeper exploration of ourselves and deeper awareness, yes, but also to fun things. Contrast has its purpose. Contrast, I said that like a northerner. Contrast has its purpose. And we just go into victim mode, don't we, with contrast. We see something bad happen, and then we're like, oh, woe is me kind of thing. And this is all ego-based, but passion's a state of being. And so we can choose it unconditionally in every moment. And this is where I'd like to put the focus on for this video, because this is what it's about, and I've only realised this very, very recently. 3. The third reason we're struggling to find it is because we think it's a thing, but it isn't. It's a state of being, and we've been talking about this for a while, isn't it? So we do everything that we can to cultivate that state of being. And so there's an idea in yoga called personal responsibility, which means your ability to respond to things in a positive way, even if they look negative on the outset. Then we become truly inner alchemists, don't we? We're alchemizing that thing that we once saw as negative into something positive. And there's power in that. There's energy in that for us to be harnessed for our spiritual growth and for a greater feeling state of being. 4, and this one I hope not to hurt people with. It's not used as a weapon, but sometimes people can take things personally, can't they? So I'll just say it and get it out there. 4, the reason you're struggling not in finding your passion is you're not acting. I said it. You're not acting. And for a while, it's okay to not act. You know, it's okay to have some deep rest in bed or something like this. But then when that urge comes, and actually I must say, it doesn't necessarily always come as an urge. Sometimes we have this idea on the spiritual journey that it must feel right for me to do it. And we can go that way. I went that way, but it's not necessarily true. It doesn't have to feel right for me to do it. We can do it anyway. Nowadays, it's quite rare actually that a video or the inspiration comes because it feels so good and I go and do a video. In fact, I get an idea and I like to go and do them. And that's what we're talking about here. It's about action. It's about acting on our passion rather than thinking about it. And again, like I say, for a while on this journey, it's okay to take some time out. It's okay because it's still learning, isn't it? When we recognize that if I don't act when the feeling's right, then we never really act at all because the feeling's never really gonna be right. And I know my spiritual ego back a couple of years ago would not have taken this message very well, and that's why this is delivered only to the strong that are ready to take it, the ones that are authentically on a journey, you know, the ones that are ready to put the hard work in that we tend to not want to do. But that's our way to greatness. Of course, yes, do it when it feels right too, you know, and if we can get ourselves unconditionally feeling passionate about the work that we're doing in every moment, then this is the best way, because passion's a state of being, not in a thing. That's why we might find our passion, me, guilty, this, and we may not be passionate about it because it's mine to cultivate. It's mine to cultivate. 5, and the final reason that I found, this isn't an exhaustive list, but these are just some suggestions that I've noticed from my life. The 5th reason that we might be struggling to find our passion is because we don't know how to act on our passion. So our last thing that we said is we're not acting, right? But the 5th thing is we may not know how to act on our passion. We get the idea that we should act on the feeling, but sometimes feeling doesn't come, does it? And so should we act anyway? Well, you know, if we believe that it's part of our passion, even if it doesn't feel right, we should do it. This is a physical-based universe. Action is required. We can't neglect the physical aspect for it to be truly spiritual. For it to be really spiritual, it has to include the physical, of course, isn't it? This spirit can't have a physical experience without the body. And so we have to include all of it, and that's why we do the yoga. The yoga is so great for that, because it includes the physical. And so how do we act? Well, we just go with best guesses, but action is key. It is key. If we believe that it's going to lead me to a happier life, then do that action, and everything becomes clear. But more importantly, what about if we took the idea of that feeling and expanded on that? What if we just said to ourselves, why not act on the next best feeling thing for me? Because it's all about the feeling. It's all about the feeling inside of ourselves that we're beginning to cultivate, meaning the feeling of the state of being, of passion that we're cultivating. And so what if my feeling is to take a shower? What if the next best thing is to clean the room? Well, then that will be the next best feeling thing for me. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it will feel great. And that's why I make this distinction around not acting through feeling or acting through feeling, because sometimes it's hard to discern. But out of the available things to me, what's the next best thing I feel like doing? And we might say, actually, if I follow that line of thought, then maybe I end up being lazy. And that might be true, because I noticed that in me. I ended up becoming very lazy. But in a lazy state of being, we notice that all of our energy's gone, all of our energy's sapped, and we're very mental and thinking about things a lot, and therefore we can't gain any feeling, really, because we're all in our mind. And in those moments then, because we're torturing ourselves with our mind, we might then get the inspiration, or we might then feel, although we may not feel like it, we may feel like we want to do the yoga. I understand that that may not make sense, and that's why we ask people to feel listen, because otherwise it just sounds completely contradictory. If you can feel listen to these messages, we're onto a right track. What does that mean? That just means connecting to the feeling of presence in the body and feeling into what's going on, rather than overanalyzing everything. We overanalyzing everything, most of this stuff doesn't make sense, and then can't get through, and then can't make a difference in our life, isn't it? I hope this helps. I don't know if it does, because actually I've just noticed a few things in there that do contradict themselves, but they do actually also paradoxically make sense. It just depends how we're hearing them. What ears are we listening with? I hope this helps. Have a great day. Namaste.